The motherboard is the most important component of a computer. It will integrate, coordinate all the other elements that allow for proper operations. Thus, a motherboard like device that operates as a platform or a computer's main circuit. The tremendous importance that has a motherboard is that inside the house, all the connectors needed to shelter the other cards on the computer. Thus, a motherboard with the connectors on the processor, RAM, BIOS, as well as doors and gates in series in parallel. In this important board, it's also possible to find the connectors that allow for memory expansion and controls that manage the smooth operation of these basic peripherals, such as display, keyboard, and hard drive. Once the motherboard is equipped with these many elements that have been mentioned, it is called chipset or set of processors. For Apple computers, this card is called logic board or simple mobile. The motherboard is called central board of the computer, and as already mentioned, it can find all the connectors that enable connection to other microprocessors, which allow you to perform the text much more specific. Thus, when a computer starts a process of data, there are multiple parties that operate different tasks, each performing a part of the process. However, most important, the connection is a chip between the main processor, also known as the CPU. This is often confused with the motherboard, but the CPU is connected to it and other processors. When choosing the motherboard for use in your computer, it's very important to consider the recommendations of the manufacturer. It has done in the operating instructions as installing motherboards with features not compatible with the requirements of the manufacturer makes this device usually have no failures after prolonged use. Fail unexpectedly. Component motherboard. A typical motherboard supports the following components: one or more power connectors. These connectors, a power supply to the motherboard, provides a different voltage and current required for operation. The CPU socket is a receptacle that receives and connects the microprocessor to other components through the motherboard. The slots of RAM in number from 2 to 6 in the common base plate. The chipset, a series of electronic circuits that manage the transfer of data between computer components, processor, memory, graphic card, secondary storage unit, etc. It is divided into two sections, the North Bridge and the South Bridge. The first manages the interconnection between the microprocessor, RAM, and graphics processing unit, and the second between peripherals and storage devices like hard drives or optical drives. The new line of desktop processors tend to integrate their own memory controller inside the processor. In addition to this, triggers slow to about 100 to 200 years. A clock controls the execution speed for instructions, microprocessor, and internal peripherals. The CMO is a small memory that preserves some important information, such as computer configuration, date and time, while the computer is not powered by electricity. The stack of the CMOS provides the electricity needed to operate the circuit. continuous, and the latter is not turned off, losing the series of stored settings. The BIOS, a program recorded in a non-volatile memory, formerly ROMs, but it has long been used flash. This program is specific to the motherboard and is responsible for the low-level interface between the microprocessor and some peripherals. Recover and then executes the instructions by the MBR, master boot record, or recorded on a hard drive or SSD. When booting the operating system, nowadays modem computed by replacing the MBR GPT BIOS for extensible firmware interface. The bus, also called English or internal bus from side bus, connects the microprocessor to the chipset, is failing into the disuse and quick path hypertransport phase. The memory bus connects to the chipset to the temporary memory. The expansion bus, also called 1-0 bus, connects the microprocessor to the connectors 1, 0 and expansion slots. The input-output normally meet with the standard PC99. These connectors include the PS2 ports for connecting a keyboard or mouse. These interfaces tend to disappear in favor of USB. The serial ports, for example, connection older device. The parallel ports, for example, for connection old printers. The USB Universal Serial Bus in English to connect peripherals such as recent connectors RJ45 for connecting to a computer network. Connectors VGA, DVI, HDMI, or DisplayPort to connect the computer monitor. Connectors IDE or serial ATA to connect storage devices such as hard drives, solid-state drives, and optical drives. The audio jacks to connect audio devices such as speakers or microphones. Expansion slots. These are receptacles that can accommodate expansion cards. These cards are used to add features or improve the performance of a computer. For example, a graphic card can be added to a computer to improve 3D performance. These ports may be ports ISA, old interface, PCI, peripheral component, interconnect English, and the latest PCI Express. With the evaluation of computers, more and more features have been integrated into the motherboard, such as electronic circuits for video management, IGP, interrogate graphic processor, sound, or networking. 10/100 Mbps over 1 Gbps, thus avoiding the addition of expansion cards.